I pledge
pledge
allegiance
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk Cody, roll call, please.
Supervisor Gunning,
Yes, here.
Treasurer Rice,
Here.
Trustee Hauk,
present.
Trustee Milky,
Here.
Trustee Lannan,
Here.
Trustee Worley,
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
He froze.
He's
Said
moving.
something.
and Clerk Cody here. I guess technical difficulties, maybe.
Should we wait for him?
Maybe give him a second, but yeah, he's frozen pretty good. He's out.
Oh, he's gone.
He's moving to me.
There we go. See you in a half hour. All right. So we passed roll call. We're on to approval of agenda. So we'll need to have a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Support.
Motion, support, discussion. Seeing none, we take this to vote. Clerk Cody?
Trustee Hauk,
Yes.
Trustee Milky,
Yes.
Clerk Cody, yes. Trustee Worley,
Still not in.
Trustee Lannan,
Yes.
Treasurer Rice,
Yes.
Supervisor Gunning.
Yes. Agenda approved. We move to item 7, public comment. This is going to be restricted to 3 minutes regarding items on this agenda. Looking for blue hands on the right of the screen for, we got 2 visitors, it looks like.
All right.
I'm getting back on here, I think.
Okay.
I was in trouble with my internet, so let me try that first before I talk on the phone.
All right.
Okay?
Yep.
Good shot. Okay.
We got an update there, Bill?
Yeah, Norm's working on it.
Okay,
He said, just keep going.
okay, all right. All right, so seeing no public comment, we move on to reports and board comments. We do have some openings, obviously, on boards coming up this fall and throughout the year. And we do have a vacant seat in the Sidewalk and Pathways Prioritization Committee, Planning Commission. I believe multiple positions on the board of review at the end of the year. Moving on from that item, we go to board member reports. I'll start with the first person to my right, which would be Trustee Lannan.
Nothing to report, thanks.
Trustee Hauk.
I went to a road commission meeting the 27th of August. They approved naming 4 Hacks Drive off of River Road, where the condos are going to be going over there, kind of across from the Mount Pleasant Country Club. If you live out in that area, if you've been out in that area, you can see they've started to build the road. And then they approved many resolutions for internet access along many roads. They also talked about 2 bridges over, if everybody knows where the end of the world is, it's out on Beale City Road. A couple bridges out that way that are getting replaced, and I guess they're pretty decent projects. They had to put a temporary bridge in, and they said it's worthwhile going out there looking at it. So maybe I'll venture out there someday. But anyways, that's all I have.
I always thought that was just a legend, Bill. You're saying that's an actual place?
That's just what everybody always called it, so.
I always wondered where that was at. I would, Tim Landon, go ahead.
Bill, did they actually name the road or just approve to go ahead and
They
name
named it 4 Hacks Drive.
Warnex Drive? Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Bill, I had 2 residents on Lincoln Road come in today questioning any idea when the road commission was going to begin that paving project.
I asked that meeting, and they said it should be soon. They were getting a couple of other ones done. There was one, well, they did Pickard. Then there was Stevenson Lake Road. They were doing that. Something up on Wise, but I thought they said it'd be done within the next 2 weeks. So we're about at 2 weeks here.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll just have to kind of keep an eye to it, but
Yeah.
it needs to get done, hopefully.
Yeah, I drove down through it the other day, and it needs to be done.
All right. Any more questions for Bill at all with the road commission? All right, we move on to Treasurer Rice.
Okay. Sidewalks and Pathways Committee. We don't really have a meeting, or haven't had a meeting in a little bit. So the only thing I have is taxes are due Monday, September 14th. So if you haven't gotten them in yet, please get them in. There's several ways to do it. You can pay it online, follow our website, uniontownshipmi.com, click on bill pay, and that can get you in. You don't have to leave your house as long as you have internet. And then otherwise you can drop them off in the drop box. They're at Township Hall. If you're wanting to go into the building, you need to wear a mask and go through screening. And then the last option is you can always mail it in, but you run the risk of it not getting there in time. So that's all I have to say.
Who's available to process those payments when they come in the front door?
When they come in the front, the secretaries are the ones that process the payments. That way, you don't have the person who's doing the billing taking in the cash and that kind of thing. The secretaries are right there and they take care of it.
Is that traditionally the way it's supposed to be?
That's the way it's been at Union Township.
Okay. When I pay at Deerfield, I always have the treasurer's always there collecting the money. Question for you, and this is an update on a question from the beginning of the year, was we had, I believe, over 90 delinquent personal property taxes.
There are 37.
37, so have we
Yes.
collected on?
We have been collecting all along, and there are 37, not 90, delinquent personal
Okay.
property.
You had mentioned 90 at the beginning of the year, so.
Well, yep, and those continually change. People are coming in. I'm sending tax bills out to remind people that they have delinquent personal property taxes that need to be paid. So we are down to 37.
So in your collection practices, what is your protocol? I know you send notices out, but is there a certain period of time where it goes from a notice to something more penal, like a lien?
We have several steps that we go through, and one of which is they will, we also take and will send them certified letters as well as just regular. And I'd be more than happy to sit down and talk with you about that if you want. So
there's no definitive period of time where, because with real property, it goes 2 years before the county looks at possessing the property. So just out of curiosity, I know we've had a couple situations where the entity that was paying the personal property taxes went bankrupt. The bank auctioned off the personal property, and therefore there was nothing for us to collect. I think one of those was about $15,000. So what's your protocol on it? What point in time do you look at filing a lien?
Again, I'd be more than happy to sit down and talk with you about that, Ben.
So you don't have an answer then?
What I'm trying to say is I have told you all along, I would be more than happy to sit down and talk with you about
Gotcha.
some of these questions, and I have never received a phone call from you or anything about this from you to sit and talk with you about it.
Okay, I'm sure that would get, I'm sure that would be positive. All right, moving on to Trustee Melky.
Nothing to report, thank you.
Trustee Cody. Or Clerk Cody, excuse me.
Nothing at this time.
Trustee Worley. You don't have a volume on.
Hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, I have nothing tonight.
All right, so we move from reports, board comments to consent agenda. We need a motion on the consent agenda.
I'd make a motion to pass the consent agenda.
Second,
Discussion?
I just indicate that it was my month to go over the warrants. I looked through what was sent to us in our board packet. It was a fairly short list, and things look to be in order.
All right, further discussion? Clerk Cody, take this to vote.
Bill has a hand raised.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, I just had a quick question. I had this highlighted. It just seems to me like, how come, maybe you can answer this, Mark, how come dumpsters cost so much at the wastewater treatment plant? Do we just have a big dumpster out there that they dump once a month or something? Because I just had my roof redone, and I had a 40-yard dumpster out here, and it was like $600. So I just wondered why it costs so much for the dumpster, if it's a big dumpster and it gets dumped every week or what. It just seems like a lot of money every month.
I don't know the frequency of the removal. I can look into that.
Yeah, I just wondered. It just seems, $900 a month. It just seems like a lot of money. I mean, I'm on construction sites all the time, and I know the big dumpsters are usually like $600, so $660 I think it is for a 40-yarder. But I just wondered, if we don't have to get them dumped every week, if we just got a big dumpster out there and just say they dump it when it's full, if that's possible. I don't know. I just try to look ways to save money.
Right. I'll look into that and send the board out something on it.
But yeah, I just wondered. You don't have to send it to everybody. I just was curious about it.
I'll get you some information on it.
All right, it's good. I don't want to, it just sounds high. I mean,
Yeah.
it is.
It'll only take me a minute. I'll get you.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
All right. Seeing no more blue hands, we go to Clerk Cody for roll call vote. This is on the consent agenda approval.
Trustee Worley?
Yeah.
Trustee Lannon?
Yes.
Treasurer Rice?
Yes.
Supervisor Gunning?
Yes.
Yes?
Trustee Melky?
yes.
Trustee Hauk?
Yes.
Clerk Cody? Yes.
All right, we move to new business. First item is to conduct a second reading for and adopt the proposed PTXT 20-2 zoning ordinance update. and list of additional revisions and corrections.
And so this is a follow-on or follow-up to the action the board took at your last meeting. Page 16 of your agenda packet. I won't go over the background all again. This is the final action by the board to adopt the new zoning ordinance that's been being worked on by the Planning Commission for the last year and a half or so. What you did last meeting was introduce the item, held a first reading. Since then, the notices were, with the revisions and corrections, were posted on our website. Links were provided in that posting to the full code on our website. The notices in the Morning Sun were done. All that was done immediately after your meeting, August 27th and 28th. So tonight you can conduct a second reading and you can consider adoption of the zoning ordinance update. Mr. Nanny and Mr. Duzen are here again tonight. If you have additional questions on the revision.
All right. Need a motion, I would assume.
I'll make a motion to conduct a second reading for and adopt the proposed PTXT 20-02 zoning ordinance update and list of additional revisions and corrections.
Support.
Motion, support, discussion. Brian Milkey.
I just want to thank everybody that put work into this, from Chris that's here, Mr. Duzan, to our planning commission, to staff. This was a long journey and this is a big deal. I'm so excited. So I just want to make sure that it's known how grateful the Board of Trustees is for all those that put all the work behind this. We certainly needed it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Looking for hands. Seeing no hands, we have a motion and a second. So this would be to conduct or approve the second reading for and adopt the proposed PTXT 20-2 zoning and ordinance update and list of additional revisions and corrections. Go to Clerk
Trustee
Cody.
Houck. Trustee
Yes.
Houck.
Yes.
Supervisor Gunny.
Yes.
Clerk Cody, yes. Treasurer Rice.
Yes.
Trustee Milkey.
Yes.
Trustee Lannon.
Yes.
Trustee Worley. Oh, yes.
Or yeses.
All right. Second reading approved. All right, we move on to our next item. This is to conduct a second reading for and adopt the amendatory ordinance, the proposed PREZ 20-01 and PREZ 20-02 amendments to the official zoning map.
And again, similar to your last item, the zoning map needs amendment to align itself with the revisions to the zoning ordinance. You took action on this at your last meeting. You held a first reading. And similarly, this item was published on our website, in the newspaper, on August 28th, September 1st. If you have any questions, Mr. Manny and Mr. Doosan are here.
I'd be happy to make a motion to conduct a second reading for and adopt the amendatory ordinance for the proposed PREZ 20-01 and PREZ 20-02 amendments to the official zoning map.
Support.
Motion support, discussion. Looking for blue hands. All right, no discussion. So we go to vote. This is to conduct a second reading and adopt the amendatory ordinance for the proposed PREZ 20-01 and PREZ 20-02 amendments to the official zoning map. Clerk Cody?
Supervisor Gunning,
Yes.
Trustee Lannon,
Yes.
Trustee Hauk,
Yes.
Treasurer Rice,
Yes.
Trustee Worley,
Yes.
Trustee Milky,
Yes.
Clerk Cody, yes.
Motion carries unanimous. We move to the next item, new business. This is to introduce and conduct a first reading for an ordinance to correct a Scrivener's error in Section 5 of Ordinance Number 1991-4 entitled Ordinance Approving Amendments to Development and Tax Increment Finance Plan of the Union Township West Downtown Development Authority. Mark?
Thank you. And this paperwork is on page 32 of your agenda packet. Just a bit of background. The public acts that used to govern PDAs and TIF plans, formerly referred to as Public Act 197 of 1975. The legislature did a major rewrite and consolidation of all these various tax increment financing plans and DDAs, LDFAs, and all those related items. There's a new public act that governs all of that now. Public Act 57 of 2018. As we were implementing all of that, we discovered that one of our ordinances, in this case, Ordinance 1991-4, which was the ordinance that last amended the West Downtown Development Authority's development plan and tax increment financing plan. We discovered that the ordinance itself has a expiration date of the plan of December 31st, 2020. If you look at the plan itself, it has an expiration date of December 31st, 2021. So this is considered what they call Scrivener's error. The plan clearly has an expiration date of 12/31/21. So this ordinance amendment is to align the ordinance with the underlying plan. That we're doing this so that we can continue to capture tax increment revenue for the West DDA through 12/31/21. That's the reason for this particular ordinance amendment. If you have one of your first questions may be, well, what happens after 12/31/21? We are working with the Economic Development Authority to extend the duration of both the East and the West development plans and tax increment financing plans, so we can continue to capture revenue and use that revenue for the programming that the EDA oversees. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have on this.
Brian Milky.
Thank you. Mark, and this is my memory from when I was on the EDA and West DDA. The plan that has the December 31st, 2021 date on it, that's the plan that's submitted to the state, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what they have on record is that date. Just our one ordinance referenced the wrong date.
Correct.
Thank you.
Further questions? Okay. So we take this to Clerk Cody. This is to introduce and conduct a first reading for ordinance to correct a Scribner's error in section 5 of ordinance number 1991-4 entitled Ordinance Approving Amendments to Development and Tax Increment Finance Plan of the Union Township West Downtown Development Authority.
There was no motion yet.
Hadn't been a motion yet, then.
Oh, okay.
But we could make that the motion.
There's a lot of discussion for no motion. Who wants to make the motion then?
I'll make a motion to introduce and conduct the first reading for an ordinance to correct a scrivener's error in section 5 of ordinance number 1991-04 entitled Ordinance Approving Amendments to Development and Tax Increments Finance Plan of the Union Township West Downtown Development Authority.
Okay, so we need a second on that.
I'll support.
Second, Hauk. Motion, Cody. Further discussion? Seeing none, take it to vote. Clerk Cody?
Treasurer Rice,
Yes.
Trustee Hauk,
Yes.
Clerk Cody, yes. Supervisor Gunning,
Yes.
Trustee Milky,
Yes.
Trustee Worley,
Yes.
Trustee Lannon.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
All right, motion carries. On to item D, new business. This discussion action item, manager's annual contract renewal and any changes.
This is a couple things are driving this board action. One is the employment agreement itself that exists between the township and the manager. And then your governance policy 4.5 requires this. Just as a bit of background, my contract is a one-year contract. If no action is taken, it automatically renews for another year. And 4.5 of your policy governance document says the board shall negotiate a contract with the manager which will stipulate compensation and benefits. And so that's what we have here tonight. You can take no action. It'll be in place for another year absent additional action. You can also discuss any changes that you might want to consider to the agreement. So I'll turn it back to the supervisor for the board.
All right. So we open this up for a motion. Trustee Hauk.
Well, I'll make a motion that we keep Mark for another year.
To renew it as it is for another year is what you're saying?
Well, I think there's two separate things, aren't there?
You know that one, support it wholeheartedly.
What's that?
I support you wholeheartedly on that one. Mark for another year. We do have to decide how we want to handle this contract because that's what's coming up for us discussing today. So we've had different arrangements over the years. If I recall, 2 years ago, I think we made it a set amount of money. It might have been about 2,000 if I'm right in that, if I recall that right.
Can't hear you, Norm. I can't hear you at least. You got your voice, but you're all garbled.
Is the volume on the?
Oh, there you go.
There you go. That's better.
Closer.
Yeah,
You weren't
bring it a little
close enough.
closer. Yeah,
Okay, so I just have to be closer. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
yep. Just-
All right. Feel like that Verizon commercial. Can you hear me
Don't
now?
move. Uh-oh, he eats me literally.
Right. 2 years ago, we, I think, raised Mark about 2,000. We had it last year, I think, we worked on getting much. We also,
Why? I can't, Norm, I can't hear you. I don't, is everybody else the same way? Is he garbled?
Garbled.
Yep.
Garbled.
How about now? Can you hear it now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be get closer to the mic.
As long as you're not long-winded, it sounds
Just
great.
enunciate really slow.
And then,
And there you go.
can you hear it now?
Yep.
So, and last year we had increased salary by offering the compensation on a month. You hear that now?
No. You got a felt pen? Just write it down on your legal pad.
I wonder if I should call in and talk on the phone and turn off the mic.
Well, now you're all right. It's just when you start actually talking about stuff you want to talk about that we lose you.
Oh.
As long as it's small talk, you're fine.
It's censoring then, I guess. All right. So if we're going to be making what we want to do to make an adjustment this year for Mark. So far, so good?
Yep. Yeah. There you go.
All right. So I was thinking, I looked today at the current CPI, and that basically goes from February 2019 to February 2020. Remember, CPI is always a little bit behind. Yeah. Can you hear me so far?
No.
It went a little bit. Something about 2,000, and then you said going to 2,200. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I heard CPI, and that was about it.
Okay.
Yes.
CPI. It's like I'm having like a wavy sound.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah, okay, talk.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna disconnect my mic.
Oh, that's
That's
better.
better. Can people hear now? Okay.
So,
Current
so it's from
February 2019
You can't be so close to the computer.
from
through 2019. Is this any better?
Yeah.
No.
Still not. Well, we just had this thing reconfigured. We just had this computer reconfigured today, and
You hear you good now.
okay, I'm getting like feedback here. Are you getting feedback?
No.
No.
Can you all hear me right?
Sort of, kind of. Yeah. Better than before.
Okay.
So the current CPI goes from February 2019 to 2020. And that's right now adjusted at 2.3%. And that's a year ending February 2020. The CPI for March 19, March 2019 to March 2020 is 1.5%. It's been a bit smaller than the month before, because in the past month, it's only gone up 0.6%. So what I propose is that I think this being a lean year because of COVID, and there are going to be less state revenue, taxes, etc. coming in. I would propose that be reasonable. They recommend to take the difference between 0.3 and 1.5 and basically to slice it as 2%, and to give Marks an increase of a 2% CPI adjustment to its current salary. So that's what I was thinking of this.
Bill, did you hear all that? Because you were on the phone with him.
Yeah, I'm on speakerphone. I can hear it.
What do you say?
That 2%.
2%?
An increase of 2%.
So what is the current salary? 104.7?
I believe so.
So that would be a $2,094 increase.
So
That would be a $2,094 increase.
So that's what I was thinking.
Bill, you have your hand up still, or did you?
Oh, I forgot to take it down. Sorry.
Okay, all right.
Oh.
All right. Continuing discussion, looking for blue hands. Trustee Milky.
Thank you. I guess I have two concerns, and I think Trustee Worley addressed this when he was being garbled, and that had to do with the year of COVID.
Oh God, he's locked up.
2020 is kind of not been a great year. I have.
You were locked up dead.
You hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, there
Am I
he goes
good now? Oh, what
Sort
the
of,
heck's
kinda.
going on tonight? Yeah.
Whoever wants to talk about this, evidently.
I was just going to say, let's see if we can get this out. This has been a year of COVID, which has been unusual. And Mark certainly had to step up to the plate on this one. I'm not really.
Mark had to step
I
up to
see
the plate
y'all.
on this one. I got you.
So one concern is I think Mark had to do a lot this year. The other concern is revenue sharing. We know we're going to get a hit next year and probably for the next couple years. And so I'm a little concerned about just raises in general. I mean, we should be looking at our spending all over. I'm not necessarily opposed to Norm's suggestion, but I want to keep in mind that we may have to tighten our belt here pretty quick next year. I'm good.
All right, you made it through.
Wow.
Next hands. Clerk Cody.
My hand is red. It is not blue.
I got blue on my end.
I got red on this computer. I don't know why. But I say this year we leave it alone. Just renew the contract as is. He's higher on the bracket, so I'm thinking just from the wage study that we had done. So I think just leave it alone right now. I think renewing the contract for another year's great, but just leaving the salary alone. That's my opinion.
Looking for more hands. Trustee Lannon, you haven't had a chance yet to.
Sure. Certainly been a challenging year. I don't know if I'm garbled or not, if I'm coming through.
No, you're good. You're
Good.
the best you've been all the whole year.
I would have talked more tonight then if I would have thought it would
Yeah.
come through.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think Mark has done a outstanding job this year leading the township in the administrative duties, certainly during challenging times. And with his performance and after going through the review process, and he ranked high in my review and pretty high in most everybody else's, I would think there should be some compensation increase, and I would entertain a conservative value of about $2,500.
So you're in the ballpark with that, with basically the 2% increase of CPI, because that'd be 2,900.
Trustee Howe?
Well, I'm with Brian. I know there's been cuts made everywhere. CMU's administrators took cuts. Brian mentioned the tax tribunal. When the tax tribunal comes up, we're going to be having it's going to be busy. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people coming in wanting some relief in taxes. Many companies have frozen wages. There's cuts everywhere. I've said this before, and everybody, a lot of times I get a hard time for this. Margaret McAvoy, the county administrator, makes $90,000 a year. I just got off the phone with George Green about an hour ago. She has 264 full-time employees, 40 part-time employees. So there's something that I look at too. Mark's also had Rodney come in and take a lot of his work that he was doing, Rodney's doing now. But Mark's working on other things. I understand that. But I'm not for going for much more than a 2%, if even that. I would feel, I think $1,000 is enough in my opinion. I mean, everybody's making cuts. $104,700 a year is pretty damn good money for Union Township. How many people in our township are making that? I know they don't have a lot of them don't have the responsibilities that Mark has, but we also got to look at the future. I personally, this nothing against you, Mark, but I think that you were hired in at too high of a salary when you came in. I mean, that's just, I know that's not Mark's fault. That's the previous board's fault, in my opinion. And they can be mad at me if they want, but I think they should have did a little more research before they made that salary. How much was Brian Smith making when he ended? He had been there a few years too. How many years was Brian Smith there as manager? 8, 10 years? I'm just thinking, you know, everybody thinks everything's great right now. I do a lot of bidding, and I'll tell you one thing right now. Every contractor I talk to, they're worried about this winter. They're worried about where people are going to work. One of our main electrician that we get out, that we do all our work for. If you guys look in the consent agenda, you'll know who I'm talking about. They've got no big jobs coming up. They've got 30 employees. They're worried about what's going to happen. So that's all I have to say. The most
Thank you, Bill.
$1,000, otherwise I'm a no on everything. Other than keeping him on for another year. The initial proposal that I made was to renew his contract for another year, and then the discussion got into compensation.
All right. Trustee Milky?
See if you can hear me this time.
Yeah.
So
So,
far.
I'm hearing comments on both sides. Obviously, there seems to be support. I think Kim's the only one I haven't heard from regarding keeping Mark on, wanting to do that. But my concern is more long-term with, okay, my concern is more long-term with revenue sharing, because that's a mainstay of the income to our township. And with the census and with what happened with COVID and the economy, I'm nervous about the upcoming years. So the problem with doing a salary increase on a CPI is that that's a permanent, relatively permanent change. It's hard to pull that back. Would a reasonable compromise be to bonus something comparable to that allows us to see how next year pulls out? Because we don't know what revenues are going to be like at all. But I think Mark earned his pay this year. There's no question what he had to do in the office with the staff and getting our employees safe and the community safe when they come in. He definitely earned his pay this year. I'm all set. Thank you, Ben.
Okay. I haven't had a chance to speak yet. I'm in line with Trustee Melky and Trustee Hauk. I don't know what kind of message it sends to our citizens who are, number one, do they still have a job? Are they fearful for their job? Of giving somebody a raise that's already making over $100K. $100,000 a year in this community is a tremendous amount of money. You know, New York City, not that much, but Mount Pleasant, Michigan, that's a lot of money. I think, you know, I agree that Mark has had a tough year. He's had to work hard, put a lot of hours in, but all of us have. I mean, this has been a funny year. And I guess I'm not really of the school that you get a raise every year. I guess in what I do, my money is earned by how hard I work and by the conditions that are in the community. So I would be more of what Trustee Hauk's original motion was to continue as is, with no increase in pay, with continued employment for another year.
My motion was to renew his contract for another year. I never said anything about compensation. I thought it was two different things. I thought we had two different issues that we were going to be talking about here. First of all, to renew the contract. Second of all, was whether compensation was going to stay the same or increase.
So your original motion then is the continued renewal of the contract for another year.
Yes.
Okay. Trustee Landon?
Amended, I guess, and talk about compensation, but I thought we were talking two different issues.
So my question then, if there is a motion on the table, and Clerk Cody, if it is correct that it's a motion to extend Mark's contract for a year, which is somewhat moot because that's going to be automatically done unless we vote against that. But if we want to do this in multiple steps, we could take a vote on the motion of extending Mark's contract through the end of 2021. and then go into another motion and debate monies.
Well, that's what, Tim, I'm sorry. If you look at the policy governance 4.5, it says the board shall negotiate a contract with the township manager, which will stipulate compensation and benefits. Okay, I'm sorry. I should have, that doesn't make sense. I think what Mark said at first, or somewhere we talked whether it was gonna be, whether we were gonna renew the contract and then if there was gonna be compensation. I thought something that came about that, but I just said I'm for renewing his contract for another year. But I never mentioned anything about compensation, but maybe I should have. So I probably better amend my motion. Or I withdraw my motion. I will withdraw my motion.
So we need to have a new motion on the table. Clerk Cody.
Well, I was just gonna say, did Worley actually second his motion? Because the way he said it, it was like, well, I'll definitely support that, but, and blah, 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 you know, or et cetera. So, I mean, I don't know if he really got a second or not, did he? I don't know.
Not
I don't-
But if he
really.
was
I
through
don't
it, it
think
doesn't matter.
there was really a second, but
So, I mean, if he already withdrew it, you're fine. So,
I
if
didn't,
somebody wants to make a motion, make a motion.
I didn't, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, no.
I didn't hear that though as a motion.
I thought it was as a comment.
Nor, are you still on here, Norm?
Yeah, I'm on both.
Oh,
I'm trying to read your lips. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
yes.
I thought that both.
I can't hear you now.
Boy, oh, you gotta love this technology. The internet connection over there is terrible, Norm.
Yeah.
I mean, I can make a motion that we renew his contract and keep his pay at the same rate it is now.
I'll support that.
Motion by Cody, support by Hauk. Trustee Landon has his hand up. Tim, did you need to have your hand up? Or did we lose you?
I think he's frozen for a minute.
All right. There he is, moving.
He twitched.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello? Hello?
Oh, we just need to get this over with.
Can we have a
Tim?
meeting with the Commission on Aging and just, if more of the, you know, we can.
So
have
I
more than 10
can
people,
hear
whatever.
you guys now. You all kind of disappeared.
Are you there?
He said something about we all disappeared.
There's something not right in our connections tonight.
Now Tim's gone.
Oh, yeah, there's,
There he
he's
goes.
back.
His name's still there.
I'm hearing like a swooshy, wavy sound. Did you hear that? I'm
So Surface Pros. Those are good
There-
machines, man.
There,
Yeah.
And
where you did.
Ben,
Yes,
can
yes,
you hear me?
yes.
Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
There was trouble in other parts of the city with Zoom earlier today from a couple different places. We had one internal here, the city did, where people's audio and video was not performing right. So I don't know if that's really our issue or Zoom or the larger network issue.
Mhm.
But a couple things, just so you guys are all orientated before you go too much further. I presume all of you have a copy of the employment agreement, and I'll assume everybody's read it.
I've never had one.
And what we're, and you do have your policy document, which Trustee Howe just read. And you also have the employment agreement. And the employment agreement says, and this was signed by both parties, that the agreement shall automatically be renewed on January 1 each year for successive one-year terms unless either party provides 90 days notice. So that's just to renew the employment agreement. There's other language in the document that talks about termination of the agreement, termination of employment, and that has different rules and considerations to it. There's also a section in the employment agreement. Can everybody still hear me?
Yep.
Kind of break it up a little bit on my end.
There's also a section in the employment agreement that says the agreement shall be automatically amended to reflect any salary adjustments that are provided or required by the township's compensation policy. And I just say that so that you have a frame of reference. The contract was first executed in July of 2016. Nothing happened in January of 17 because I'd only been here 6 months. There was a salary increase in January of 18. I don't remember what that number was. In 2019, there was a salary, an increase to the salary. My current salary is $104,250. On January 1 of 2020, there was no increase in the salary. What happened on January of 20 was the negotiation was an additional 1 week of vacation and a payment of $250 a month car allowance. And we did that, we agreed to that. One of the comments made by the board. They thought it was creative and it in fact didn't change the pay scale. So that's kind of the playing field. The last thing I guess I'll mention is in 2021, the non-supervisory bargaining unit will be getting a 2.25% salary increase. In addition to any step increase. And they will be in the supervisor's bargaining unit will be getting a 3.5% increase plus any step increase. In our prior discussions, I've even, Norm, you may remember this, I declined salary increases, certain percentages, because I thought they were too high. And we ended up with something lower. So I say all that just to give you a point of reference. And that you at least acknowledge before you take any vote what the contracts say, what the wording of the governor's policy says, as you might negotiate. So I'll turn it back over to you, Supervisor Jennings.
All right. I caught some of it, but not all of that.
Yeah,
Did you guys same way? I kind of heard maybe bits and pieces.
Most of it, I think.
2.25% increase and a 3.5% increase were the two for the bargaining units. Is that what I heard, Mark?
Yes.
The was it the managers?
Non-supervisory and supervisory.
Yeah, okay.
Supervisory was 3.5. I heard that, but then a lot of the other stuff I
Yeah.
didn't hear.
The 2.25 for the other. Okay. Okay.
Trustee Lannon, your hand's up.
Okay. There was a lot of conversation that I didn't hear. Last I knew, there was a motion on the table to renew Mark's contract with no increase to the salary. Is that bring me up to speed?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. I would just add that I could support that with the addition of a one-time payment due in December of the amount. And I'd offer up an amount of $2,500.
All right, I got Trustee Hauk.
Brian was first.
Was he first? Okay.
Oh, thanks, Bill. I was just gonna say, I could support that, Tim, and I know that's not the motion on the floor.
Trustee Hauk?
I'm not gonna get anywhere, but, so last year, if everybody realizes, it was a $5,600 raise. And how it was a $5,600 raise, 104,250 divided by 52, an extra week's paid vacation that he got last year, $104,250 divided by 52 is $2,004. So we gave him another week's vacation last year. So it was an additional $2,000 basically. Then he got $300 a month in a car allowance. So it's $5,600 last year. I mean, it doesn't look like it, but it was $5,600. So cutbacks, people, there are cuts. I mean, how many CMU administrators got cuts? How many hospital employees got cuts, administrators? $90,000 our county administrator makes. 264 employees full-time, 40 part-time. She's not getting a raise this year, from what George told me. So let's give the farm away.
All right, we have a motion on the table, and the motion on the table was by Clerk Cody, was to renew Mark's contract and maintain the same level of pay in 2021 as he received in 2020, correct?
Yeah.
That motion was seconded by Trustee Hauk. We do have a motion and a second. I'll entertain one more question, Tim Lannon.
Thank you. The motion is troubling to me in the sense that if this motion goes down, I would say we're not renewing Mark's contract for another year, which goes against what the contract says. There'd be a 90-day written notice. So I would like to see a amendment to the motion taking out the consideration of his employment for another year, because that's a given at this point in time, contractually. So the motion would then boil down to virtually no increase to Mark's salary. I think tying the continued employment for next year is troublesome. Again, as I say, if this goes down, then do we have a manager?
I guess I don't get that from the motion, but.
Yeah, right.
So Lisa, your original motion was restate it.
The original motion, I wrote it down. It says renew contract and keep pay as it is right now. But I mean,
I seconded it.
Yeah.
So what is the discussion on it?
How is that, I
Not
don't get the
relevant. How is
whole
it-
not having a manager for next year thing, I guess.
The discussion is, the points Tim bringing up is, if the motion goes down, then you have voted not to renew my contract. And in so doing, you violated the contract because you haven't provided 90-day notice on the annual renewal.
What?
I don't get that because we're renewing the contract.
You got to read the contract to get it.
Okay.
I have a copy of it.
All right. So the contract is renewed annually unless it's terminated. So really that's a redundant point is what you're saying. So really the motion on the table should be more compensation related than it is employment related.
Correct.
Okay, so Lisa, would you like to restate your motion?
Norm's trying to wave us.
Are you going to be able to get through here? Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
I think I agree with what Tim is saying. So I think reframe her promotion. Then you'll.
I don't feel I need to. I would like to keep it as is and do a vote on it.
Well then, but it's
Call the
people,
question.
if people vote no to it,
Well, then you make another motion.
if you make,
I
So
mean, it's just like
basically,
any other motion.
if
You don't
people,
have to wait. You make
essentially
another one right
what
after.
he's saying is that if you vote no on the motion, then basically you're terminating his contract because you're not renewing his employment.
How?
So I kind of get it now. So it has to be more of a compensation related because that's really what we're talking about is annual renewal or annual renewal happens at the first of the
You
year
know
anyway,
what?
unless we
Then
stop
make
it.
a motion after we're done with this one and say, I motion to give him a bonus of blah, blah, blah amount. It's not his pay, it's a bonus. So that's what you can do if you don't feel comfortable with it. You know,
I think
I don't want to increase his pay. I feel it's comfortable where it is. And I think it should, and that's why I made the motion.
the part that
But if you want to make a bonus, you know, you can always add that on there. If you feel he should be confiscated somewhere else, you can stick it after this motion, is what I'm
Right.
saying.
right, and that's not where the problem is. What they're trying to get at. What the employment agreement says is it's going to automatically renew his contract, his employment contract, unless given 90 days notice. We have to give him 90 days notice in order to terminate. And he has to give us 90 days notice, is what they were saying.
We know that.
And the first part of the motion was the only part that there was an issue with, because the first.
I'm not changing my motion. It's as is. That's how I stated it. It's how it's written on this paper. It says contract renewal and any changes. I don't want to make any changes, so I made the motion. I said, and no changes made to it. You know, just saying.
Right, and I get where you're coming from. Okay, the only thing I see, and if this goes down, so let's say that for some reason they say no, I want something different.
Whatever they do.
Okay, we have just taken, and the first part says that
You're taking it too literally. It's fine. This is how, you know, I mean, it's fine. I didn't say I make a motion to terminate Mark's contract, blah, 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 affected 90 days from now, etc. I said I make a motion to renew his contract and keep it the same as it is, you know, as rate of pay. I didn't say anything about bonus. I didn't say anything about anything else.
right.
So like I said, if you feel him wanting a bonus, make a motion after we're done.
So we have a call to question, we have a motion and a second. So we have a call to question there, Tim, so I don't know if we can entertain any more questions. Go ahead, one more time.
Call the questions means call the question, just take the roll call.
The way I look at the motion, it goes against our contract. I would abstain from voting on this motion.
Oh, Jesus, this is getting ridiculous.
Oh my God.
I can't, you people anymore are just ridiculous. She said what it is. Just leave it. It's the same compensation that he got last year, he will get for next year. What's wrong with that? I mean, if you want to say no, Tim, to it because he's not going to get your 2.5% increase, then I guess you vote no. But $104,250 a year is very good money. He gets 5 weeks paid vacation. He does very well for this community. Are you getting a raise this year? Are all the people at your company getting a 2.5% increase? I highly doubt it. This is just ridiculous all the time anymore. There's 4 against 3 stupid stuff.
So if I could continue on with my thought,
Yeah, go ahead.
the motion, in my mind, goes contrary to how our contract is spelled out.
It doesn't. I read the contract.
I would be recusing myself from voting on these motions together. If we are going to talk about his employment for next year, I think we should vote on that. He is continued with employment, then we'll vote on
Call the
compensation.
question. You're not allowed to recuse yourself for something like that.
And seeing that
I asked for my initial motion, Tim, if you would listen, my initial motion was to renew his contract. And you came up with, well, we can't say it that way because it didn't include compensation. We could have made it 2 different motions. One to renew his contract and one to talk about compensation.
that's what I'm saying, Bill.
And that is what you said. And that's why I said it that way.
That's what I said. This isn't about his employment. This is about his compensation for the next year.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I combined it into one.
Just state my interpretation. Sorry to rile anybody up.
Well, it's not hard to get riled up.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second, we have a call to question, and we have a lively conversation. So let's take this to roll call vote. We do have a motion, second, and a call to question. Clerk Cody.
Could you read the motion one more time?
To renew the contract and keep pay as it is right now. What is that?
And then I seconded it.
So Clerk Cody, yes. Trustee Hauk.
Yes.
Trustee Lannon.
No.
Treasurer Rice.
Yes.
Supervisor Gunning.
Yes.
Trustee Melky.
Yes.
Trustee Worley.
Abstain. I think that the motion is convoluted the way Tim had expressed.
Out of order there, Norm. Motion carries. We move on to the next item on the agenda. Extended public comment, restricted to 5 minutes regarding any issue. We have one citizen there, it looks like. Seeing no hand, we move to item 12, manager's comments. Mark?
You're
Mark.
muted, Mark.
Thank you. And if somebody can give me a high sign if I start breaking up, I'll know when to stop. I appreciate it. The couple things, a reminder that October 10th is the cleanup day. It's going to be at the Commission on Aging this year, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. We do have some folks that are going to be helping us from MMI. In the past, we've had a couple people from the Sustainability Committee volunteer their time. So we are going to be looking for some volunteers this year. Trustee Hauk has often helped out. So whatever we can get this year would be appreciated, because we don't have the Sustainability Committee kind of operational. So I don't know how many we'll get from that. Also, the board had inquired a bit about the Municipal Ordinance Violation Bureau, that ordinance at your last meeting. We had asked for a review of that. We've done that review. There are a couple minor changes needed that we'll be bringing forward. They're very minor. We're currently using the Violations Bureau. We're issuing civil infraction violation notices. So it is active. But there are a couple minor amendments that we can make to it. And then just to give the board a bit of background, you'd inquired, Supervisor, on the personal property tax collection. The staff and Treasurer Rice has indicated they do some efforts trying to collect the taxes. They do outreach to the property owners. When it comes to personal property, those taxes do not get turned over to the county treasurer. They remain with the local unit of government. And the primary enforcement mechanism for that, there's two things. One, it's called a doomage. You can increase their value the following year as a means to get their attention to pay prior years. Of course, that increases their value for the current year. It's not always effective. What eventually happens in the real hammer is seizure and sale of the personal property. And there's a process that you go through to do that. You effectively end up locking the doors of the business. You seize their personal property and you sell it to satisfy the back taxes. I doubt if that's ever been done in the township before. I have done it, personally done it. It's not a lot of fun, so whatever we can do short of that is what we try to do. If the taxes go uncollected long enough, and I believe it's 7 years, then we can go to the circuit court and get a ruling to have those removed from the rolls. And so then it's kind of the process you use to get rid of the bad receivable is court action. So hopefully that gives you the background you were looking for on how you collect personal property.
Now, isn't a lien also an opportunity to,
Well, the lien, the lien is mostly about getting in the way of title ownership. And I'm not sure what the formal actions that you go through to seize the property. I mean, at some point you're putting a lien on it because you're seizing it. I've put the notices on the door. I put the padlocks on the door. I've hauled the stuff out. I've taken it to auction and I've sold it. And I'm not aware there's much before that that has any real teeth to it. When it comes to bankruptcy, if we're notified, we can apply to the court to have certain standing, so that if the bankruptcy court or the creditors, when they sell, when the transaction gets worked out through bankruptcy court, we can have almost a first lien. I'm not sure it's the very first lien, but it's close. But as part of the bankruptcy proceedings, we have to stop our collection efforts and work within the confines of the bankruptcy court. So that's that on personal property. Then the last thing is the discussion y'all just had on the contract. I really don't give a damn about the raise. I give zero. I take zero. I'm fine with that. I've taken zero before. I've taken less than what you've offered before. But I am a little disappointed in the process you went through. And the contract and your policy statement talks about negotiation. There's no opportunity for that here. It was obvious that several board members had not even read the contract before the discussion tonight. So that's disappointing. It's never been about the money for me, and all you that have known me for that amount of time know that. So I will conclude with just saying that the discussion was a bit disappointing. Having said that, I continue to enjoy working here. I will continue to work here. I'll do the best job that I can. So there won't be any hard feelings on my part, but I would not feel comfortable walking away from this meeting without having said a few words on the matter. So with that, I'll turn it back to you. Thank you.
All right, item 13, final board member comments, starting from the bottom of my screen center.
There were
Oh, I'm sorry.
comments for manager's comment.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm not sure who had their hand up first. We'll start with Clerk Cody.
I just wanted to start my comment first.
Oh, I was going to say, I've got a question for the manager before we get to board comments.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Is that okay, Lisa?
Yeah.
Mark, thanks for those words. I appreciate that. Question for you on what we voted on earlier today with the correction for the EDA ordinance regarding changing the date. And I wasn't sure if it was relevant or important to the discussion then, but regarding the EDA's desire to try to renew itself, so continue to capture, at least in the West EDA, what budget does that come out of? Does that come out of the DDA's budget, or does that come out of the general?
Does what come out of the budget?
In the notes, there was that they had gone out for essentially bid with 12 vendors to help with that process. So the cost of that process.
That'll be EDA funding.
Thank you. That was my question. Thank you.
It'll be split between the East and West EDA funds.
Thank you, Supervisor Gunning.
All right, Clerk Cody.
I have a comment. Yeah. I feel like I was personally attacked by the board because they didn't like my motion that I had made. I feel that I should, I explained that if they wanted to give the manager a bonus, they could easily made a motion after we were done. And nobody did so. So nobody, I'm just saying, I felt that the pay raise was set properly, especially with COVID, and knowing that the raise would increase like every year, he'd have that increase and it would just keep continuing, not knowing what next year is going to bring. I believe that the pay should have stayed the same. Now, as far as bonus wise, we could have had that as another discussion. That was my comment, but I felt that the pay should have stayed the same. That's my comment. And I'm disappointed that the board treated me in the way they did just now. Thanks.
You're welcome. Trustee Hauk.
Okay, thank you. I want to apologize for getting worked up, but I was getting so confused, I didn't know what was going on. I mean, we originally, my initial motion, I wanted to renew the contract. I never said at the same pay. And then all of a sudden, compensation got brought into it. I thought we could have, like Lisa said, we could have made two separate motions, one for renewing the contract and then one for giving a bonus or whatever. I'm sorry. I mean, I hope maybe in 3 months we can come up and say, you know what, Mark's done a great job. Things look better. Maybe the economy is going to get better. Maybe things aren't as bad as we think they're going to be. And maybe is there anything that says we can't give him a bonus 3 months from now, 6 months from now? I don't think so, right?
Nope.
Everybody talks about how hard Mark worked during COVID, and he did work hard. But someone else that worked hard is Jennifer Loveberry. And I think she should have maybe gotten a little bonus too. We never even talked about that. She was in that office every day too. So those are my comments. I'm sorry if I upset people. I didn't want to see people abstain. I know I got worked up, but I think I was under the assumption we were going to make we could have made two separate motions. One to keep him employed and then another for compensation. And I would have been all in favor for like what Brian said. I think Brian said a $1,000 bonus or whatever you said, Brian. I'm not sure, but I was in favor of that. Thank you.
All right. Well, let's see here. We'll slide down to the left and it'll be Trustee Milkey. Hello.
Lisa, I'm sorry you felt attacked. Hello. You got me?
Yeah, there you go.
Lisa, I'm sorry you felt attacked. But we got through it. We'll get back together and we'll hopefully get some good work before the election done. So have a good night. Thanks.
Treasurer Rice.
I also, Lisa, I did not mean for you to feel attacked. I was just trying to help clear up something, but yeah, I didn't. So, but I'm sorry if you felt that way. And I hope everybody had a great weekend and continues to have a good week. So.
Trustee Worley.
I was certainly disappointed as well with what the process deteriorated into. Certainly didn't want anyone to feel that they're being personally attacked. Certainly didn't want to see someone get so angry, and certainly didn't want to see people so misunderstood. As I sat here watching it, it kind of reminded me of a parable of the three blind men and the elephant. The parable goes this way. There's three blind men, all of whom are presented with an elephant. One is holding the tail. The second one is holding the midridge. The third is holding the trunk. When asking the blind man, what's an elephant? The one holding the tail says, it's a rope-like creature, snake-like, real thin, long, snake. The one holding the midridge is asked, what's an elephant? He says it's an enormous creature, probably one of the biggest things on earth. This thing's enormous. Third blindman, when asked, what's an elephant? He said, you're both wrong. It's a tuba. It's a musical instrument. Just feel it. Who's right? Well, it obviously takes all blind.
Just lost you.
You're back.
I think it was the good part too.
It obviously takes.
There's the punchline.
Take all three blind men. And tonight, in losing our patience, we weren't listening to each person's part of the elephant. And when we don't do that, we don't communicate. And that disappointed me tonight. And that's the reason why I abstained on the vote. It wasn't clear to me.
You got a little quiet.
Why I abstained on the vote. Because no one was sitting together. We weren't voting on the election. No one knew what we were voting on. I hope you're hearing me.
It sounded kind of like you were underwater. I think we got the gist of it though.
So basically, none of us tonight listened to each other to find out what was the elephant. And when we don't do that, we lose what we're doing as a group. And that's what disappoints me tonight. And I'm as much of the problem as everyone else. I'm not putting this on everyone. But I felt it was.
Okay. Trustee Lannon.
Yeah, no comments at this time.
I'm sorry, you said what?
No comment, he said.
No comment? No comment. Okay. All right. Let's see. I have just one question, I guess, and I should have done this back with manager's comments. There was an incident or situation, I should say, downtown, Mark, right before Labor Day, where in front of one of the bars, there was like a huge throng of students all packed tight together. And we're fortunate that we don't have as many taverns in the township where we have a problem like that. But as far as the groupings at the apartment complexes,
You're breaking up.
Am I breaking up?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, how about now?
You're good.
Nope. You're good.
Mark, as far as the congregations of students at parties in the apartment complexes, particularly over in Deerfield, how is the sheriff's department? Are they cooperating with us and the 25-person emergency order that we had with the city and the health department?
They are, yes, they're cooperating. You know, they are involved on that. They're always on the calls, whether it's the emergency operations center that was meeting weekly on the COVID issue. More recently, there's been a group meeting that includes CMU that's outside of the emergency operations, emergency management situation. And that also includes the prosecutor. So the county is involved, and they're supportive of the health department director's order for the reduction in outside gatherings. You know, I have full confidence that if they needed to, they would enforce executive orders, local health department enforcement, you know, orders, that the prosecuting attorney would handle the case as they would any other, you know, with appropriate review and all that. And having said that, I don't think there's anybody that's out actively looking, really. But we'd rather gain compliance than just issue a bunch of tickets.
Well, I know that's obviously there's a lot of people that are quite nervous about that situation, and possible ramifications down the line. So I was just questioning. I know that I know the city police and stuff have been you know, very supportive of the emergency order. I just wasn't sure how the sheriff's department was handling it.
They're just
All right.
supportive.
Any other comments at all? Seeing none, we need a motion. We need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Clerk Cody. We need a second.
Or
Tie. I'll let you guys fight it out.
Yeah.
Whoever wants it, whoever wants to be in the
I'll
notes.
take it.
Okay. All right. You're in the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
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 Night all.
Night.
Aye.